people talk about that way too much. Once you get to the playoffs, and actually everybody plays the same schedule in the NBA. Okay, so I think that
Well, yeah, but
people
it
always want to
shows how you're
find
playing against good and
reasons.
bad.
People always want to find reasons why a Cleveland team isn't good or they're not as good as their record. It's a constant theme. And I think that that's an example. The 29th, ranked schedule. Who cares? They won games.
Well, I'm saying that obviously they needed to win those games and they did, but they also need to show us that they can win and not lose a bunch of games in a row when they're playing better competition.
Well, three in a row, that's
Every team loses three in a row at some point, so I'm not too worried about it, honestly. But
the West Coast trip was against pretty tough competition and they went 4-0.
it was. That's true.
So,
That is true.
Yeah, when you see, and we're going to get to them later, strength of schedule really applies to the Browns, though. So I think maybe it's more of a football thing than it is a basketball.
exactly.
I do
More
think it is
Based,
more
you're
in
right.
football.
yeah, so we'll definitely get to
I
that a
don't,
little
but
bit later.
but getting into that strength of schedule thing with football, that can also be deceptive too.
It can. Because people talk about that strength of schedule before the season, and it's completely different that year than it was the year before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because strength of schedule, I'm kind of mad that they're going back out to Vegas again. But I don't know if I'm too mad because somebody asked me if I wanted to go out there for the game. So I'm like, we don't see.
I
But
wouldn't be mad.
I'm like, why did we have to go back to Denver again? I'm like, I don't appreciate that. So
Yeah, I don't understand why that happens.
Yeah, they always go
yeah.
back. They seem to play in the same place every year after year. They never are back here.
And like I mentioned to Tommy near the end of the season, like when Tampa Bay played in Dallas, they almost always play in Dallas. I think they played
They
like
really
three
do.
times in Tampa in their history against the
Huh?
Cowboys. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, you talking about Tampa Bay?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense how they do the schedule
It's just the
with
whole
home and
NFL
away.
does that. Like it seems like one team is playing in the other city every year. Now it makes no sense.
I don't think so either. So with the Cleveland Cavaliers, so we have BJ, not BJ, excuse me. I always confuse BJ with JB. BJ Evans, shout out to BJ, as the
Yeah,
Cavs head of PR. So, but you got JB
does a
Bickerstaff
great
coming
job
back.
too.
Yeah, we love BJ.
Yeah,
But you had, JB Bickerstaff coming back to the team that fired him with the upstart, Pistons team that are they still on their winning streak too?
I'm not sure if they're on their winning streak, but I know they're 23 and 22,
Yeah,
and they're better. They're better on the road than they are at home.
Okay, isn't
Yeah,
that
odd.
interesting? So JB really wants to get this game.
well,
So
he does. Yeah.
this is a game that this team can't lose, or they would be going four straight losses. And that is it panicking time, or
No,
no? This team is going to figure things out.
no. I
No, I think they'll figure it out.
With those three guys out, people don't want to act like those guys matter because they don't all start.
Mhm.
But those guys are all important. We all know. You and I covering the team, we know that those guys matter a lot. They do things besides scoring. You know, Mobley,
Yeah.
Mitchell, Garland, those are the scorers. And Okoro, the defense. Wade, the defense. And he hits threes. Levert, he'll have games where he gets hot and he plays great defense too. You
He
could
just
just
plays with
see
energy. Yeah,
we've seen how bad the perimeter defense has been the last several games, and it's definitely because they're missing those guys.
Hmm.
I think it's partly that. Um, Partly, well, not partly that, but it is that. But I do think like their perimeter defense maybe hasn't been as good as it should be for a little bit now. Even when those guys were playing, but they're obviously way better than the guys that are like, some of these guys. Yeah, they may look good every now and then, but they're not good the whole game, and that's causing issues. You're not making stops on defense, and that's causing issues on offense too.
hmm Yeah, that's a very good point because we're going to get to defense. But one of the things I wanted to bring up was that, during that stretch where we had those injuries, obviously Evan Mobley is a unicorn and you missed him so much. You missed him in Houston, you missed him against Philly. So that just goes to show, if you add up the points that Evan Mobley usually scores, you're winning those games if you insert those points. Then, when he came back against Houston, he was a little bit rusty and stuff like that,
Right. You
out of
expect that.
rhythm. So, like you said, that's to be expected. So, but we needed, and unfortunately, we needed him to come back quickly. Maybe the team doesn't, but it seems like the fans do. They needed him to come back quickly and be the Evan Mobley that he's going to be. But Kenny said it's going to take a little patience for him to get back in the rhythm, get back into game playing and stuff like that. And he was just gone. Was he gone for 3 days?
3 games.
Uh, three, yeah, I think 3 or 4 games he missed.
Three
I
I
games.
believe
think
it
it
Probably
was
was
played
3.
4.
3 games.
I know they won. They won. They didn't lose every game without him, but
Yeah.
No,
you
but
know,
I think they lost 3 out of 4 with him,
and I,
without him.
I think is a is an issue too. And it's not just this defense these last 3 games. Their free throw shooting. The one
Is
game it was just pathetic, but the last 3 it's just been not that good. Before the last 3 games, their free throw percentage for the season was 84%. It has dropped all the way to 78 for the season. It's dropped 6%. They've shot 73% the last 3 games.
And it's somewhat yeah. I mean, those have the game where Garland missed the free throws.
Well, they
The
shot
funny thing is,
68% from the free throw line in that game.
well, yeah, and but he shot under 50. The
Yeah.
rest of the
Oh, yeah.
team missed one free throw.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's
68.
everybody. Although
Right. It's
Mitchell
not,
missed
yeah.
some the other night.
Yeah, his free throw percentage went down 4% by itself the last 3 games.
how much did Darius go down?
So he was at well, it went down 3 because he was at 91. Now he's at 88,
Oh God.
which is
And
still
that was when it
which is still
mattered.
way above league average. But
Yeah, but still, like in that Houston game, you got to make those. I don't know if he was tired or what, but you spent the whole game coming back. You finally come back, you take the lead, you allow them to tie. You're at the charity stripe, the easiest
yeah,
points that you could possibly get, and you don't make the free throws.
you needed
And
2 or 3, and you made 1.
in a
Well,
critical moment. And after he
also,
missed the first one, after he missed the second one, you could tell on his face we had lost the game. And the inbounds play was just a terrible shot. It wasn't a high quality shot. It probably wasn't it was a look that they were looking for, but it wasn't a high quality shot. And even if Darius was able to get it up from under the basket, there's still no guarantee he wouldn't have got it off in time to win. But you still had time on the clock. So why didn't they draw up a better play, on the inbounds to try to win that game? But it's like it's not given to you. It's very hard to win, professional sports games. And that game was almost given to you.
that's what I've
Because
noticed too in the last, you know, week or so. They they've taken some bad shots. They're
Mm-hmm.
they missed
Definitely.
missed some easy layups. You know,
Niang.
I just don't think that it's anything to panic about, but they'll get back on track. Like Kenny Atkinson said the other night after the game, and you were down there, Rachel. He said we're leaking oil, and I think he's right. They're leaking oil. The engine has not exploded,
No.
but they're leaking oil right now, and I, I'm confident in him that'll get it fixed. I was um, encouraged when he was asked about Okoro and Levert in the pregame today, and he said, it's just they're not they're not there, just they're not quite there where they feel comfortable shooting. Levert with his wrist and Okoro with his shoulder. So from the way he explained it, who knows? Wednesday they might be, you know, or Thursday they might be. So it may not be that much longer until they're back. Um, I don't know, but I was encouraged by his answer. I didn't. I didn't hear anyone ask anything about Wade. It came up a little after the press conference started, but so I don't know. I don't know about Dean Wade, but Hopefully those two will get back soon. I think they will really help a lot defensively. You give up 100, you score 131 points and you lose. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, you played bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, fellas, we're going to take a break right quick. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we're going to be right back.
You good? You good? You good?
I might just turn this chair around.
Okay. When you bring your bill? Mm-hmm. When do you need to take them? All right, all right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Remember, you can listen on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can download that WOVU app and listen to us on the go, or you can go to WOVU.org to listen online. So, a plethora of ways to be able to listen to us. So, I have Tim Shire and Tom Shire. Tommy, I'm sorry. Shire, and they are the Lake County Sentinel, and I have them here with me. As I said in the beginning of the show, Cleveland K has a family matter, but she will be back shortly with us. So, please say a prayer for her and her family. But fellas, we were on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and let's talk about the defense of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The perimeter defense has just been horrible. Teams have been able to get open for quality threes. They switch back and forth to zone. What are some of the things that you guys are seeing in this defense that's a struggle for these Cavs?
For me, I see every time I look up, I see they're over switching, right? So one guy goes over here and the other guy doesn't switch, or one guy switches when he shouldn't have switched to that guy. And to me, when there's two guys guarding one guy, every time I look up, there's two guys on one guy and there's a guy in the corner wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And then he passes it, say he passes it over there, they both go over there, and then the other guy's wide open again. To me, there's too much switching going on. They got to have better communication and figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. It seems like these other teams are getting way too much easy threes, and it seems
Mm-hmm.
like it's from the corner more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Not from the top of the arc, but the corner is where they're getting killed, and I think it can get fixed. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I think Atkinson knows, what they have to do to fix it. um, I know they practiced this morning, but I know he said the other day too that they need a day off, and I think that
They do
you
look
know
tired.
that's something that will help too. But they're not. There's no relief coming soon. They have tomorrow. Yeah, they don't play tomorrow, but then they play Wednesday and Thursday. And I think that when you're playing a lot of games, that's where the defense will suffer. I think so.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, as Tommy kind of described it perfectly, where the ball is kicked out to a wide open shooter, and at first the zone was working, but, when they switched to zone, at first it was working, but now all of a sudden is not working because teams, are able to effectively beat the zone. So they're in a catch 22. And, it just goes to show that, this team is still young and they're still learning. And, they have to be very coachable. But, I'm just like at a loss where we see these games and I'm like, y'all right here, I'm up high. Why can't y'all see what's going on the court and it's right there in front of you? But,
Sometimes you can see it better from our angle.
So,
I can't see anything. I don't know about you, Tom.
Well,
I'll
I
just
can't.
switch on
I'll
and put
tell you
my
what.
glasses off and on.
I was going to make a comment about not being able to see. You know where I can't see? I can't see the guy shooting the three from in front of the seats on the Cavs end of the court, the Cavs bench end of the court,
Uh-huh.
and I'll see that ball go over there, and almost always, all of a sudden, I see it come over the thing and in the hoop. It seems like that's where they're getting killed a lot lately.
Mhm.
But I
yeah.
think we can see a lot of what's. I mean, they see it too. You know, they have so much video now. They know. They just haven't been able to fix it yet. I think.
The same thing. It's the same thing with football, though. Like that view is like it's like why they watch film. They don't watch film from the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? They watch it from above. It's a lot easier to see everything.
I
So
struggle
how are
with
you?
being able to see it. And I'm like,
Inside the
you,
room, man.
I look at
Am
you
I
look
okay?
at people in the booth
Come
and you're
here.
just
Sure.
like, what is going on? Like I can't see anything. So I'm just like, I don't know how people see it and are effectively able to do their jobs because I can't see from the top.
Yeah. See, I like it actually up there, and as Tommy mentioned, football. You know, we went to a Browns game 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. Tom Brady's last um, game he played against the Browns, and we were high up. We were in the last row, and I said to him, I said, I love being up here. We could see everything, how everything's developing on the play and everything, and you know, I could see from up there that Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady anymore.
No, yeah, it was apparent.
Yeah, and so I like the high angle, but I'm sure they got video. They have cameras all over the place there, and you know, uh, I just think that the Kenny Atkinson's a good coach, and he'll get them back to where they were prior to this. I don't very few teams go an entire season without a losing streak.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's bound to happen, and
Your mics were
my
on.
thing is people freaking out because they've lost 3 games in a row. Yeah, honestly, it's not fun to watch, obviously, but you know what? I'd rather it happen now than go lose 3 or 4 in the playoffs in a row.
that's what Donovan Mitchell said the other night.
So
Better
yeah,
it happen
you
now
know
than
what?
in May or
Let it
June.
happen now, and in the summer when we're happy that they're playing great again, you know, then hopefully they continue to play great that whole time. But
Yeah.
let it happen now. Learn from it.
Hmm.
And I think they will. Sorry about that. And I think that the Cavs will learn from these opportunities because you're going to have these fixed if you expect to meet Boston in the Eastern Conference Final. So obviously you want to be the best team going down because you want that home court advantage. It's very
Exactly.
hard to win in Boston. They cheat for Boston just like they cheat for the Kansas City Chiefs. So
Yeah,
you
they do.
already know that you're not going to get those foul calls. So you got to get them to Cleveland where you stand a chance to potentially get some foul calls. But Donovan was right in the very beginning of the season when he said that the Cavs don't get foul calls. And that's something that you've watched over these games as well. Granted, we don't have a bona fide superstar. Donovan is supposed to be that guy for us, but you notice he don't get the calls. He pretty much, you saw the game the other day where Shang Fu or whatever his name is, I forgot what it was. But who
Dengoon,
was it? Shingun, thank you. Who
Dengoon,
was
yeah.
it he tackled down
And
right in
Oh,
Jared
front of the
Allen
ref
threw him
and
to
the
the
ref
floor.
did
I mean,
nothing?
I don't know how they didn't even call a foul. I mean, he threw him.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they
And
reviewed it
everybody
and
saw that.
said
Should
they
have been a
reviewed it.
flagrant.
They reviewed it and said it wasn't. There was not enough contact. I don't understand.
But
Like
let somebody on the Cavs have did that to a player on Houston, it would have been a foul,
it would have been.
Hmm
and it
Yeah,
would
the
have been.
NBA doesn't like the Cavs, especially with LeBron not being on them. They don't got anybody they
Hmm.
could talk about.
Hmm. That's very true too.
And Donovan Mitchell is probably he's definitely one of the top 10 guys in the NBA, and they act like he's good, but he's not.
Mm. I don't know because he has these stretches where he's just not that good. If you want to be top 10, you can't have those stretches. He's a top
Well,
10 scorer, I would
Eight
say, but
points. Who was he? Who did he have 8 points against?
well, it was the other night though,
that was
Rachel.
against the Thunder, wasn't it?
Uh,
Yeah.
but the other night, I had mentioned to you. Remember, he scored 8 points in the first 116, and didn't score again until 7:59 left in the third.
That's an issue.
So, 26 minutes. It was like 26 minutes, 11 seconds, or something like that. And I mentioned it in my article, and because it was like that was a significant stretch of that game.
Mhm.
They had fallen down behind by 18 points.
So let
And
me ask y'all this. Is it Donovan, having issues or teams figuring out how to play defense against him to make him less effective?
What I think it is I think he wants everyone else to succeed so much, like how they were playing early in the year. He's not willing to be, oh, I need to go, get some buckets for this team right now. He's, well, let's let Darius do it, or let's let Evan do it. When really maybe you need to step up and do it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was too late the other night
Yeah.
by the time he did it.
That's my thing, though. If he does it earlier, he could. I mean, we've seen the guy. I was there. He dropped 71 or 71, right?
71 against the
I was
Chicago
there.
Bulls.
I mean, he can do that. I mean, he can't do that every night, but like he could drop 40 or 45 on any given night if he would just do it.
He,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I think makes them a good team is that they
But sometimes you need him to.
don't depend on one guy. And well, yeah, sometimes the superstar has to take over when
Yeah,
it when
Yeah.
it's time. LeBron would take
and
over.
that's why he's not a superstar right now because he doesn't do that.
I
He can be
I wouldn't say he isn't a superstar.
okay, but he's not like a top. He has the potential to be a top 8 NBA player and be that guy on a finals team, but he just doesn't. He needs to, he can score. He just needs to take advantage of that more
But
sometimes.
do these other teams that have these guys that that people think of superstars, do they have a Darius Garland? Do they have an Evan Mobley who can also
I
score
mean, the
25 or
Celtics
30
have
points?
multiple guys that are all stars.
Well, they do, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
bet you if you go
The
through the
Warriors
year and you
did.
look,
I mean, obviously that's a whole, but
Brown and Tatum have had games where they weren't spectacular. I'll bet you.
I'm sure they
You
have.
know. So, but I don't think Jalen Brown's not better than Donovan Mitchell.
No, I don't. I
Maybe
don't think he is
Tatum.
either. Maybe
Maybe
he's better
Tatum's
on
as good,
defense, but
but
Mm.
I don't know. There's not too many Michael Jordans or LeBron James that go like 2 games in their whole career without
yeah, LeBron hasn't done it in like since like
a
what
long time.
2008 or something like that. I don't even remember when it was.
Yeah, but Donovan, has to recognize when it's time for him
Hmm.
to take over because he's the best player on this team. He's an all-star. He's an all-star starter.
I'm coming
You
out in the
know,
hall.
he needs to recognize, when it's time for him to do that and when it's time for him to, set back a little. Maybe when some of these they were playing teams that weren't that great, but now, he has to step up and know when to do so and take over a game. That's important. That's a part
That's
of
what I'm
being,
saying.
the number one guy on the team. So, and one of the things is they haven't been playing a lot of minutes. I don't know if they've been playing over 30 minutes, all season long.
Hmm.
Kenny has kept their minutes down, but, he has to do it, just do it.
I think with the injuries lately, they have been playing more. You
Yeah,
know,
they have a little bit more. Yeah.
so I think that could be part of it. Fatigue. Um,
To me, I think they need to. I think they need to try to get another backup big man and a different small forward. But
I don't know. I'm not big on thinking trades will solve issues. I think these are temporary issues that that in a month will be like, yeah, remember that 3 game losing streak? that's my opinion from seeing this team. You know, I wouldn't. Okay, I would not be against them getting another big man, because
Thompson's
having
not really playable. He was all right the other night.
well, he's good defensively, but he's not. He can't score.
I don't know how good defensively he really is, but
He's pretty good still defensively. I think he is. What do you think, Rachel? You think he is?
I yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's still good defensively. I mean, plus he matters in the locker room.
he does. No, I'm
Um,
not saying get rid of him. I'm
but
saying,
they
you know,
need a younger guy, I think.
yeah,
But
they
what do
need
you have to
another
give up?
7 footer to be out there too.
But what
But
do you have to give up? I think that teams are going to want Tyson.
okay,
I really do. They're going to want Tyson.
okay, he doesn't play when guys are healthy,
Okay, but um,
and he's
I
part of the terrible perimeter defense.
well, I still think that trading him and then people in 5 years will be like, oh, look how good he is.
I don't care if they trade him and it makes him better right now, and they might win a championship. Who cares?
So, well, yeah, that's true. I mean, that is a philosophy that I do believe in. That you play you make trades to win now.
Right.
And I always
Hmm.
go back to there was a trade back in the late '80s when the the Detroit Tigers traded John Smoltz for Doyle Alexander,
Yeah.
and Doyle Alexander went 9-0, and the Tigers won the division and made the playoffs, and that was their goal. And they didn't worry that they gave up a Hall of Famer. So I guess you kind of killed my theory. I guess they could trade Tyson
Yeah.
if they had to.
Trade
All right,
Monty
fellas.
Bates too. I mean, God.
Yeah, even though he's just coming back and being healthy, but anybody is tradable at this time except for a few untouchables. So we're gonna go ahead and take another break right quick, okay? You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
I moved out of there. There were a couple. It's great.
Welcome back. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. And I am here with Timothy and Tommy Shire of the Great Lake County Sentinel. What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
How are you?
Good, going good. Excited. The Cavs have a basketball game that starts at 8 o'clock. Timmy is there right now, so Timmy is getting ready to cover the game. I'm headed there shortly after we're finished with the show, but I want to move on a little bit. So I want to move on to the Ohio State Buckeyes. So these are the national champions, 2024 national champions. And one of the things is, I just want to pat myself on the back because I did say after the Tennessee game that Ohio State was winning the national championship. So that is what happened. And you guys, what do you think about the run that Ohio State made? Do you think it was the hardest in history?
I'll tell you. I think they finally played like they should have been playing all year. Maybe it took that loss to that team up north to light a fire, but that team was better than everybody else in the country talent wise, and everybody knew it before the season, and they
What's
finally
new?
figured it out.
Racial show. Oh, nah.
And they finally figured it out. So, you know, props to Ryan Day for sticking with it, and props to the players for not giving up after having two losses in the regular season and just absolutely dominating that whole playoff.
Yeah, I as an alumnus, I go kind of crazy about Ohio State. When they first lost to Oregon, I'm like, okay, it's not so bad.
At one point,
Yeah, it was a 1 point loss out in Oregon. There was some clock mismanagement. I felt like they could hang with this team. They probably could have won the game. I'm not even
mm-hmm.
gonna lie, I fell asleep on part of the game because it was kind of boring or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how I managed to do that, but I looked up and it was towards the end of the game, and I'm like, oh my god, I think I was just really tired. So okay, you lose to Oregon, number one team in the country. You don't really drop that much. You go out there, it's in hostile territory, and it is what it is. Then you lose to Michigan by 3 points. So your two losses for the season are combined 2 points. So not excuse me, a combined 4 points. So I'm like, okay, the game plan going into the Michigan game was absolutely terrible.
It was horrific.
For what reason I don't know is that they didn't utilize Jeremiah Smith in that game when you could have broke up and open the game. You
I don't
went
think they
against
utilized any receivers.
no, they didn't. They tried to establish the run. Okay, it really wasn't working. Okay, so try to, break out and, throw the ball against you got the best receiving corps in the country. Throw the
Not even close.
ball. So I don't understand why they chose to go away from that. Chip Kelly didn't have his blessed play calling. Our field goal kicker missed two field goals.
Yep.
So you throw that into
Theirs
the
missed
thing.
one too, I believe.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that.
Right.
But
Sure.
that's something that but that's something that happened. Because at the end, I'm talking about when people look back in history and they look at the season, they don't care that the field goal kicker,
Right.
Missed two field goals, which is critical and crucial. And they wouldn't have lost that game if he hadn't missed those field goals. So Buckeye, and then I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the people that said fire Ryan Day. I said fire him during the Michigan game because they wasn't looking good. I'm like, take him off the sidelines right now because this is atrocious.
I think it was off pure emotion though, because he is a good coach, and
he a good coach. He just ain't a good coach against Michigan. That's it.
Yeah, brain farts. I don't know.
Yeah, but if we play Michigan in 2020, we would have won, I believe. So,
yeah.
Michigan didn't want to play that game. Oh, we got COVID.
I
So
want
does
to beat.
everybody in America.
I want to beat Michigan just as much as anybody, but I think I'll take a national championship.
Yeah.
And and they ended up doing it. So I think that's
both would be nice, but yeah.
That's what matters in the end is winning the national championship. They don't have a rally at the stadium a couple days after they beat Michigan, but they did have a rally yesterday after they to celebrate the national championship.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Day, he said all the right things. He very easily could have talked about the people that doubted him, but he didn't. And I thought that watching that was great. I loved seeing that. It was. I think that he knew though when he took the Ohio State job that beating Michigan was the big deal.
Yeah,
and so and nobody looked more devastated than him
it's true.
after they lost to Michigan. Like, he
Because he
looked
knew
like
he
a
was about to be fired.
well, he looked like a guy that just lost his a family member. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He looked really like he was like out of it.
He
So I
was. You're
think
right. Like he did. Like yeah,
that they redeemed themselves. Chip Kelly,
they more
as
than
I said,
redeemed.
Chip Kelly's known Ryan Day since he was 7 years old. He wasn't letting him go out that way, and he made great game plans for those national championship or for all the playoff games and the
Yeah.
national championship game, and they were not going to be stopped.
If he had those
And
game plans all season, they don't lose though. So
but also you have those game plans all season. People see it, they watch
you couldn't
video, they
stop
watch
it.
film,
You couldn't
you
stop it.
know, and so I think sometimes you hold some stuff back, but I think against Michigan you don't hold anything back.
Well, that first play of the national or the first touchdown. I mean, that was Alabama did that against Ohio State. The Jeremiah Smith touchdown where he went reverse, came back. Alabama did that against Ohio State. What was that? 21 in the championship with Devontae Smith, and he has had that in his playbook ever since
Mm.
then.
Who
And
has?
Kelly, I mean, he's had it in there since
Since
seeing it. Whatever, he didn't have to be here, but he saw it, right?
okay,
And
yeah,
he hasn't used it, and then all of a sudden, championship game, he uses it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's a good weight.
When Notre Dame scored first,
You
I
knew it was
thought
over
to my
though.
I thought to myself, this is going to be like when Ohio State lost to Florida. Ohio State's going to win this game with no problem.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, their quarterback looked like he was like ready to be in the hospital after the first drive,
Not
and
On the
nine. He ran the
sidelines
ball
and
nine
everything.
times.
yeah, and that wasn't something that they could continue to do, and that was obvious when Ohio
Hmm.
State scored. I mean, right there, it was okay. This game is because they're not gonna be able to do that again.
Hmm.
So
He ain't Lamar Jackson, so when you make a game, you can't have a game plan
no,
of
because he
him
can't
running the
throw
ball
like
the
him.
whole game. Yeah, you
Lamar's
can't run
great
the
because he
whole
could do
game.
both.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that they saw very quickly that wasn't going to work out, and them possessing the ball for like over 9 minutes, and being very slow and deliberate. They wanted to play at a certain pace and speed, but Ohio State wasn't having that. When they got that ball, they put that touchdown up real quick and
Yep.
said we're going to play at this speed. So I was against Marcus Freeman. Him saying that him playing at Ohio State was a mistake. You can't be out here talking to Buckeye Nation like that all
Yeah.
crazy. We gonna
Well,
get
then
it
their
on,
running
we gonna
back,
go off.
their running back saying he wanted to play us over Texas anyway because we want to beat the best and they're better than Texas. All right, cool. And you didn't even play barely. So
Yeah, if he played, I don't think it would have amounted to much anyway.
no,
Ohio State
they act like that guy's amazing, and he's
They did start saying once Ohio State got ahead. Was it Chris Fowler? He started with the Notre Dame has injuries,
yeah, like Ohio
and
State didn't.
which is always the out for teams that the national media favors. Like we talked about Boston, Notre Dame. Um, you know,
The
I'm
Chiefs.
sure. I'm sure. I can't remember it now because my memory's not that great. But I'm sure during the playoffs, um, if the Tigers had injuries, um, you know, teams always have injuries against Cleveland and or Ohio teams, and always with Notre Dame. It could be they could say they're missing Rudy tonight. Yeah, Rudy's no longer on the roster,
I already
so
transferred to
no,
Ohio State.
yeah. No.
And Rudy didn't even play.
Oh, I know, but he's
Rudy
a
sucked.
factor in it. He's a factor in it 50 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, I think next year they could, they have a real good chance to repeat.
Hmm.
They
How
really
many
do.
players do you think are going to get drafted though from Ohio State?
Well, I saw Sonny Styles is coming back. Igbenogson is coming back.
Oh God.
Obviously, the offense, it'll look a little different. I think if Sayans is good as they say he's going to be, I mean, there's no shot, there's no chance that they're not at least in the semis again. If you ask me, so
Well, hopefully this new defensive defensive coordinator can develop
Yeah.
Ignosa because he was terrible. He had the most amount of um, um, defensive pass interference
Yeah.
calls in the country. So,
Yeah.
that is something that's going to have to be corrected because there's no way, and I ain't talking about him being able to turn pro right now. I'm worried about getting another repeat. But there is just no way that he can continue to have these penalties because it,
No.
it could have almost cost us the game.
And he always
It
acts like they're
Notre
not a
Dame get
penalty.
back in the game.
He always acts like they're not a penalty too. It's like, dude, you
Right.
tackled the guy. It's a penalty.
Well, there's no defensive back that admits that they had a penalty. Like there's no defensive back that's ever committed a penalty in the history of football.
Personality-wise, he reminds me of Greg Newsome. You're down by 40 and you start celebrating. It's the same thing as acting like you never get a penalty.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Oh.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. I'm with Tim and Tommy Shire of the Great Lakes Sentinel and Lake County Sentinel. I'm sorry, Timmy. A lot going on right now.
That's okay.
But earlier the announcement came that Jim Knowles is leaving, the defensive coordinator is leaving Ohio State to go to Penn State. What in the world is going on? What is behind that? If your team just came off of a national championship, why would you want to leave and go elsewhere?
Obviously, they offered him more money.
Yeah, Ohio.
But Ohio State could have probably offered him the same. But,
Mhm.
as I told Tommy, this won't move the needle much for Penn State because in the end, James Franklin will blow it. So, he's going to have a good defensive coordinator. That's true. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he wants another challenge.
What I think it is.
Some guys want a challenge, and maybe he thinks that's a challenge. I don't know.
So from what I understand is 3 schools called or offered him besides Ohio State. I don't remember what they're Penn State and Oklahoma. I don't remember what the other school was. But Penn State offered 3.1. Ohio State then said, well, we'll give you more, and then only offered 2.75. So
are you sure? Where'd you hear this?
I saw it on the Buckeye Scoop. They're always right about stuff. So
okay,
yeah, and it was straight up. Actually, it was a text that they got from his. I don't know if it's his fiance or his wife, but she said that he took it as a slap in the face, so he left.
Okay, well,
Wow.
And he's from Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like okay.
would be
He
closer
would
to
want to go
home.
back.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
close. He's from. He might have grew up a Penn State fan. You know.
But coordinators leave.
Right.
Most are on the up and up about it. Uh, don't get me started about offensive coordinators leaving though.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. They
That
need Chip
Jacksonville
Kelly.
Jaguars new coach, man, I'll tell you,
Who the Jaguars' new coach?
he was the Buccaneers offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
He came
Agreed
and
to a
told
agreed
him
to a
that he was going to stay
contract.
and then left.
Yeah, and then he
Oh,
left,
oh yeah. You
and
told me
he
that where he was
and he
signing.
ghosted. Yeah, he ghosted the Buccaneers, and then they found out. Well, he told them he was rethinking the Jaguars' offer. He was already in the building, finalizing his contract.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Mm-mm.
not something you do.
nah,
These
but
coaches ain't loyal.
no,
No.
they're not. No, they're not. There's very few that are loyal. And that's what I have to say about, I know Marcus Freeman made the comment about Ohio State. And,
I
I'm
like
not
him.
sure exactly how it was, what the question was or whatever. But if there's a coach in my lifetime for Notre Dame that I like Marcus
It's
Freeman.
him.
He
Yeah. Yeah.
seems like a good guy. I like Bob Davy, who took Lou Holtz's place. But you know, let's face it. Most coaches are like Brian Kelly. They're going to go where the money is. And I think Ryan Day's a good guy too. Even though we couldn't stand him after the Michigan game. I think he's a good guy. He's a family man. So, but
You
a
know.
lot of coaches, they're just out for the money, and that's it.
Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, a lot of players have a lot of good things to say about, Ryan Day. And if you read the Players Tribune, Jack Sawyer kind of talks about him and the seniors deciding to run it back. And they're like, you'll be a Buckeye forever, but you have the opportunity to be a legend by winning a national championship. And that's what they are. They're now legends in lore, and the
Hmm.
opportunities to make money, are there and stuff like that. Money over other people who played for Ohio State but didn't win a title, or whatever. And the story, you went through the hardest path to win a title. I mean, you had to go through who they play first, Tennessee, a SEC team,
Yeah.
that was able to beat Georgia. Then you had to go through Oregon, and that the number one team in the nation who was undefeated. Then you had to go through Texas A&M, in Texas, right outside of Austin. Matthew McConaughey, all that lore, horns, and then you had to go through to win the national title. You had to go through Notre Dame, who had been like 14 straight wins after losing to Northern Illinois
I
and
do
stuff
think.
like that.
I don't. Obviously the SEC thing. Like everybody talks about the SEC. I do. However, I do think Texas was the best team they played. Um, I think Texas beats Notre Dame as well. And actually, honestly, I think. I think Oregon does too. So, you know, I think we beat. I think we beat two teams better than the team we beat in the national championship. So,
Hmm.
Well, I think too. I think the SEC is on the downfall.
Hmm. I would love
it's
that.
definitely a down year.
Texas might still be good. I think Ole Miss is going to be good because as much as he's not a good person, Lane Kiffin's a good coach. Um, but Alabama, I don't know. I think it's gonna be like the years after Bear Bryant left. They're not going to be good for a while, until they find that guy. So, and a lot of those other teams in that conference are just overrated. Tennessee's not
Right.
great. They're
No.
not great. Auburn's not good anymore. You
Auburn's not
know, yeah. I think the Big Ten is better than the SEC now,
at this point. This year, it definitely was.
and it
Yeah. Oh
will be
yeah.
next
Two
year, I
in a
think.
row. Two in a row, and people in SEC land are upset. I'm on message boards, and they like the SEC will be back. We ride at dawn. Like there's just, they're just in
That
disbelief
part of
and
them,
stunned.
they're
And I'm like,
crazy.
it
So,
happens.
They
This
talk a
is
lot.
yeah, this is a circular thing. Remember when USC was good, and stuff like that. Remember the ACC was good with the Hurricanes and stuff like
Hmm.
that. There are
Yeah.
times when the SEC didn't dominate, and the SEC didn't come to dominate until Alabama. So they can kind of thank Nick Saban for getting that going.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
act like
Speaking
the SEC has been the greatest conference since the dawn of time.
right.
right?
Speaking of USC, real quick since you brought them up, I'm gonna do this. See, shout out to Painesville Harvey running back where I coach baseball, Sean Alston. He committed there.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations!
yeah, great running back.
That's wonderful.
Very nice kid.
Yeah, very nice kid.
I've told everybody that I've talked to about him since I watched him play his freshman year. He's the closest thing in high school football I've seen to Kareem Hunt since Kareem Hunt. So,
Hmm.
and he's a really nice kid too. So
Who
I'm going to
will be
watch
playing in
USC a
the
lot
Super
this year.
Bowl? And
Yeah,
I said, call Kareem back, but they never did. And even though, Kareem wouldn't have changed, how bad the Browns were and stuff like that, I believe he would have been a positive addition to this team, being with this team for
Hey,
the ups and downs. But, right now he's where he deserves to be. And congratulations to him.
yep,
I am rooting against him, though. I am going to root for the Philadelphia Eagles because I do not want the Chiefs to win. I have Chiefs fatigue. I'm tired of seeing them win over and over again. So it's time for somebody else to win. But
yeah. I'm sick. I'm sick of both of them, honestly. But
yeah,
I'm
but
sick of the Chiefs, but I can never root for the Eagles.
yeah, the Philadelphia fans are just so brutal.
They,
yeah,
they are some of the worst human beings in sports.
they threw
And
snowballs at Santa Claus.
well, no, they did other things too. They
Yeah,
they did they did something to Joe Juravicious on Monday Night Football that I'm not going to say on the air here, but it was horrible.
yeah,
And that's when he was on Tampa Bay, and it was uncalled for. It was something you don't do to a parent. And I, since that day, I can never root for Philadelphia again.
Oh, I know about that.
I'll tell you about it
Yeah,
off the air.
that's kind of crazy, but obviously, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I'm not rooting for Philly because I like Philly. I'm just rooting against them
yeah.
because
Against the Chiefs, really.
yeah, rooting against the Chiefs because I'm sick of them over and over again winning. I wasn't able to see that play in the Buffalo game in which, they took back the first down spot. But that there's always a magical flag that comes out at the end of the game for the Chiefs. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I want to thank both of you guys for co-hosting with me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It was a fun show. I had a good time. And that's pretty much us. We haven't gotten into the Browns, but we'll save them for next week. So thank you for listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. And we are out of here.